Hey, morning. It's me again. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you watch this. I'm going to take you through a Nextcloud install. Nextcloud being a very, very capable installation for, let's say, an office environment where you store files, where you have a chat function. And to have a look at that, let's see what they offer in their website. So again, Nextcloud is a well-known name. It's got a few 100,000 users worldwide. There's a few different ways that you can actually enjoy their products. What we're going to look at here, obviously, is to install it in a way that we install the server version on the actual grid. And you can do that in a couple of ways. And what I'm going to showcase today is how you do that in a Docker image. So that's what this video is about. Hope you like that, and let's have a look at the steps. So this is where we will find a documentation, which again we sort of did. Then we need to deploy a virtual machine. There's a couple of ways of doing it on the Playground or in Terraform. Today I'm going to opt to do it in Terraform. We'll have a quick look at the Playground in terms of what data we need to provide. It's super easy, but just to see and just to make sure that we know what we're doing. And again, I'll do more videos and I'll use the Playground again, but right now I think it's also cool to showcase that with very minimal, again, actual, let's say, system administrator capabilities, you can still do a Terraform install. It is not that difficult. Sorry for that. Then I'm going to start the clock because the theme is from 0 to hero in 10 minutes. So I hope that I will finish within 10 minutes. Again, we need to do the VM deployment. We need to secure the VM, very important, because it will open or it will be publicly accessible, which means that also people with less than good intentions will be able to find it and maybe abuse it. So we need to secure it. Again, super simple, straightforward, doable for anybody. We'll then upgrade to the latest version of Ubuntu, which is also very doable, and we'll then start and install the Nextcloud container. So that's what we will do today. Let's get started. So again, first let's have a look at the container. First have a look at the virtual machine. And again, like I said, I won't use this one, but we know the Playground. And once you've got, there's a different video and different manuals that will explain all of this. Once you've got yourself installed by getting access to it, which is in the current 3.8 version, a lot simpler than what it used to be. No need anymore to install an extension into your browser. It's all done within the browser, very nice and neat. And again, that in itself is a separate video, which I will create a link for underneath this video. And again, you need the usual suspects in terms of what you need to put in, and a name, which image to use. We'll use the latest of Ubuntu, then how many resources you want to be using for compute, memory, and actual storage, whether or not you want to have IPv4, IPv6, and the planetary network, and then where, very importantly. But like I said, we'll do this from a different perspective by using Terraform. So let's cut over to the actual terminal screen, which shows us what we can do. And I manage, as you can see here, I manage my Terraform scripts in a repo that is mine. Again, for technicians out there, it doesn't need to be. In the end, it's a piece of text that that is being kept somewhere. I created a demo version to showcase you what is in there. Just to make sure that I don't give away all of my mnemonics, which is where those 700 TFTs exist, and that's actually a wallet. But again, very, very, very quickly, but just to highlight the fact that it is not very difficult. So first and foremost, you define, because Terraform is not a threefold technology. Terraform is infrastructure as code. It's an independent open source technology out there that integrates with many cloud providers. You have to specify that with this particular deployment, you will want ThreeFold and the ThreeFold Grid as being a target. So you need to specify that that is your target cloud, your target infrastructure to do. You do that by this statement. Then this becomes ThreeFold specifics. So since we don't have username passwords to exit, but we have mnemonics in which you have a wallet, in which you have a balance to pay for your deployments, you will need to put in your mnemonics, like I said. And again, your mnemonics you will get by getting yourself an account with the TF chain. That TF chain will give you your mnemonics. Again, a separate video to show you how to do that. You'll just put them in here. And then you specify a real, well, simply in a way, the actual components of what you want to deploy. Again, you'll need a network. You'll need a network to connect your virtual machine to. This is the way you specify it. And we opt to not provide WireGuard access from external. You can get yourself a VPN-like access with encrypted tunneling network traffic by using the WireGuard software, by using the WireGuard networking overlay software. It's not software, by using the networking capabilities, but we opt not to use them here. Then here are a few important things that you'll need to do and to get into that. So you'll have to specify which node. Again, I won't go through selecting a node. There's a facility called the dashboard in which you can find where you want it. This is a server. Again, Teisie is the owner of it. Very powerful server, 88 cores, half a terabyte of RAM from the top of my head, or maybe even more, and so on. So I use that for demo purposes. I like that. And then I specify what size of disk that I want to get attached to the VM as. I'll give it a name called Nextcloud. I'll specify, like we saw in that ThreeFold Grid TF, I'll specify which image, which FList I want to use, and then the resources as we saw in the graphical version as well. So 2 cores, 4 gigs of RAM for what we do here, plenty. And then I want to showcase that there's a, sorry for that, that there is a public IP, and I want to be using the planetary IP as well. If available, then there is this init script that we use by using zinit, which is a replacement of core, the first process started by Linux. I also specify my personal SSH key that allows me to log in without using username password. Very safe to do so. And at the end, because again, I have my private key, I sign my login, and no username password can leak to the world where people could pick up on and getting access to it. And then I'll get 3 or 4 statements actually pushing out things that I need to know in order to continue. So that's, in essence, a Terraform script. Now let me go back to the real one. So in order to actually do what we do, I go back to the schedule, because I think I made this now clear. We touched on these 2 points, and I need to start the clock just to make sure that you'll see a timing, and let's start it here. Let's go back to this window, and then the command that actually allows me to deploy from this Terraform definition or script file is here. So first, let me show you what Terraform thinks that it needs to deploy, looking at the script locally and looking in the TF grid in terms of what is being deployed. Well, obviously nothing is deployed because I didn't do anything yet, so everything that is in the script needs to be done, and it tells me here that it will create a network, it will create some disks, it will create a VM, it will put the SSH public key in it, it will use this FList, all the things we just looked at. It says that, okay, this is what I need to be doing, which is fine. So now I'll tell it to apply. And this is where, again, the timer comes in, because I might cut this video, because this takes about 40-ish seconds, and I don't want to keep you waiting and looking at this screen for 40 seconds, so I'll shut up. And then when this is done, I'll make the cut in the video, and you'll see how much time elapsed on the timer. See you in a bit. And we're back. All done, as you can see. I think it took like 40-ish seconds, but you can see on the timer, I haven't had the time to look at it. But here's the output and the report. So the VM is available, and it's got these specific IP addresses. One thing to mention, what you will need for a Nextcloud install is a domain name. And again, I won't dwell into details here. I've got my own personal domain name that is mytrunk.org. and in which I created a record that is Nextcloud. So if you ping this particular one, mytrunk.org, then you'll see that it uses this IP address as a reference, right? So 87.251.36.8, 87.251.36.8. So that's all up and running and ready to go with regards to being able to get there. So VM is done, VM is operational. This is done. Now let's do the next step, which is secure the VM. So let's go there and let's SSH into it. Again, I don't need to show username and password because again, that's a typo. What I did tell it is that I have my public SSH keys inside the VM, so I just will be able to get SSH going in there too. And this is it. This is my VM. We look at what the resources are, then you'll see that these are 2 logical cores, and there is a total of 4 gigs of RAM, which again, by having this large font, it doesn't show me, but trust me, there's 4 gigs of RAM that is in there. So let's do what I said I would do. UFW status. The UFW is the firewall interface, which is really, really simple. It's inactive, it doesn't do anything. What I need to, and we can have a look at the installation documentation right now. Go back to the web. Let's go here. Let's say I want to do this Docker image install. Okay, here we go. It's a sorry for that. It's a GitHub repository in which the documentation is. What's important here, which is what I wanted to look at to set up indeed access, is that I need to set up these ports. So we'll go back to the terminal and then we'll do that. So we need first and for all allow open SSH, because I need to be able to log into it. So that's the first one. And again, it does it by default on IPv4 and IPv6, which is great. And then I need to do it on port 80 because it is web accessible. So I need on TCP port 80. I also want to secure HTTP, so port 443. And then it specifies that Nextcloud needs and uses port 443 as well. It's a free port on which it needs to do that. So going back here, I did all of those. Those is actually what I needed. So let's go back, and now I'll say UFW enable. It will ask me because otherwise I get shut out. Are you sure? Yes, because I added SSH, so I should be good. And then what I'll also do, I'll make sure that next time when I boot, it does that by default. Start up the firewall. UFW, which now if I do a reboot, which I will do, and again you can check time in order to see what happens, but now it will set up and actually have the firewall up and running by default when I reboot the system. So see you in a bit. And as you can see, after a few seconds the server is back. I gave it a few times the check to log in back again, and then it was up and running. So now we can see, if I say UFW status, that it actually, after the reboot, actually did what I asked it to do with all of the access ports, and I can still access it. So now we're secure, right? What the rest of the world wants to do, they have access to the HTTP port, and they've got access to that 8443 port, which does not respond to anything yet. This is what is happening. I didn't change the screen, so while I was babbling away, you didn't see it, but this is what's happening in the meantime. I'll still wait because it will take another minute or so. So we're back, all done. As you can see, there was lots of things that happened. It's all updated, it's good, it says that it's happy. So now it's time to, and I made in the meantime a little overview in terms of what happened. So we, we did do the UFW, Universal Firewall installation, and enabled it for any reboot. Then we did a update and upgrade on the apt. We did a reboot, well, not in that sequence, but we did it. And now it's time to install Nextcloud, which is here. So we'll copy this particular command, which is to run Docker. And that's another thing that I need to install. That's pretty quickly, so let's copy this one. And then we go back to terminal. So last thing to install, install is Docker and docker.io, which are the packages that contain all of the binaries that you need in order to run Docker. That's it. And I'm being pressed for time, which is always the case. Is it? Yeah, it's already 11 minutes. But you know, I mean, in the meantime, the time that it stopped recording and that it stopped, I shouldn't be calling, but I want to be totally realistic and actually show you what's happening. So 2 things. Okay, we're done. Now we need to copy paste that Docker run command. And again, this is beautiful because this will create a Docker container or containers. It will install all the things that are needed. It will even put everything in place for it to be restarted when you do a reboot of the virtual machine. So it will do, and that's why it's called AIO, because it's all in one. That's what it will do without actually making life very difficult for anybody. So again, this is the software that is being installed. I'll put pause again, not to bore you too much, and then be back when this is done. Well, this one, looking at the clock, you might have been able to wait for it because this doesn't take for too long. It's now installed. It's installed. All the software is there. It's not ready and activated yet. So let's change to the web browser and see how we can now get access to this. Okay, so again, different t-shirt, different day. I stopped yesterday with the recording because I saw something that I did not understand, or that I could not understand. And it was the case when you get, after doing a couple of those installs, and again I did a few takes to make it a good recording. I'll keep it quick, by the way. And what I did, I exhausted my attempts on that one domain name to actually get a certificate from Let's Encrypt. It's built in. It gets a certificate from Let's Encrypt for you, which is really handy. But when you do it 3-4 times and it's the same URL, so the same domain name, the same host name, then it says no longer, wait a day and then come back. Again, I didn't know, so now I know. Warning to you, you need to, if you make a few test installs, make a few domains, make a few hosts where you can swap between all of them. So now we've got a new domain, no longer nextcloud.mytrunk.org, but it's example1.mytrunk.org, which you can see here. And in order to start using this now, as you can see, I connected it to port 443. I need to enter a password, and the password I'll show you quickly is almost like a mnemonic of a wallet. I'll press pause now and come back with the password presented. So here it is. First time you connect to it, you get to this screen. Again, this is on port 8443. Again, it will do all the magic of getting that certificate. Again, when you do it too often, the same domain name, host name, then it will say too much, wait for a day. So it's good to, again, have a few of them available. If you make some mistakes and want to redo it, like I did. But you get to this is the password that you need to remember, and then you can fill in the password and actually get it to configure. So that's what I'll do now. As I make a lot of typos, I'll do it on pause again, and once I've got that done, I'll come back. One more thing, I'll add and start the clock as well, just to make sure that we can see how long this process takes. Okay, see you in a minute. So that's done. Now let's press login, and if this is right, then you should see that it takes this forward and starts installing it. Again, this will take a few minutes as well. Once it gets to the next screen, I'll go back to pause and spare you looking at this rotating disk. Again, it will take a little bit of time to do this, and then I'll be back when this is, again, either advanced or finished. Maybe while we're waiting, let's have a look at the container itself. So let's switch to the terminal window again and then do SSH root at, that's the one, example 1.my mytrunk.org. And as I said, public key of my SSH is there, so I can log in quite simply without using username and password, very safe. And then we can see what it's doing. And as you can see, you will see some containers popping up and being used. Some, again, installations will happen, and it's doing all sorts of goodness. Let's have a look at the other screen. It's happening, it's still the same. So again, I'll be back when this is done. What was a good surprise? So while doing it, it presented me with the information that there's a new Docker image available, and it's updating that for me. I clicked on logs to show me the logs through, again, the browser, as you can see what's going on. And it told me to wait until that master container is updated and rebooted. So really, really nice. Again, keep the boring parts away from you. So I'll see you in a minute. So update done. What I now need to do is to present it, like I said in the way early beginning, the domain name is what I would like to access my Nextcloud instance, which in this case is example1.mytrunk.org. It will then check whether it is actually in usage, whether it is in usage, not actually, whether it is in usage. If so, then it will say, okay, fine, I can find that, so I can be found by that. And now it's a matter of starting the containers. I've got a few options in terms of additional stuff that I need to do. If you want to use the messaging/instant messaging part of it, we need to adjust the firewall a bit, as you can see here, 3478, please remember, because I have to go back to that. And let's do the Nextcloud install. It offers the environment as well. This, again, will take some minutes. It will present me with a new screen on which it shows which of the containers are actually in flight, are being started, and some of them take a little bit longer. And as it says here, it might take between 5 and 10 minutes, so not boring you again. Fast forward, I'll stop the recording and see you once this is done. Small intermezzo. While this is happening, you can now see in the top that there's a lot of activity in Docker Day, and it's doing a lot of things. So underwater, even though it presents this very boring screen, there is actually a lot happening, and it's doing a lot of installs. So we'll see at the end that we'll end up with, I think, 5 or 6 Docker containers running, doing all the bits and pieces that we do, a database, some key value stores, and so on. So lots and lots of goodness, but we have to be a little bit patient. Back again, you can see the clock, it jumps forward, but not that much. And now we've got a new screen that says some of the containers are running. As you can see, Docker, Redis, the key value store, and so on, they're all running. It's just a matter of now waiting for the main containers, Nextcloud, and first one to actually be completed and set up. First one being Apache. Sorry, couldn't read, but now I can. So see you later. So it's actually faster than you think it is, because you have to refresh the page. So I did a manual refresh, again like this, and then it shows that it's done. So that's it. Now I'm good to go. Remember on the top here, there's this first password. The username is admin. This is the password that I need to remember for that. Admin. So let's log in. It should be fairly simple. And then we'll do a next session on actually, I say a lot of actually, logging in and using Nextcloud. This, save it for now, then at least I will have it. And this is my Nextcloud install, naturally done in a VM, relatively simple, straightforward, my personal private storage space and office environment, which I will show in the next video. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.